Hey everyone, welcome to another video. So in this video, we'll try and understand what are the basic important documents that you need to submit in order to get a GST registration very quickly at the first shot. Well, your business organization would be in the form of a proprietorship concern. It could be in the form of a normal registered partnership firm, a LLP, or even a company, be it a private or a public limited company. So be it any type of business organization, the idea is to understand what are the documents to be submitted in order to obtain a GST registration very quickly at the first shot. So let's do a deep dive and understand each set of documents required at each level of the GST registration application process. Now, first is regarding the proof of constitution. What are the documents that you need to submit in order to substantiate the proof of your constitution? So if you're a proprietorship concern, ideally there's no registration required. Today I can call myself a proprietor and start off the business. But most of the proprietors start off with a Udyama registration or an MSME registration. So you can upload a copy of the certificate to prove that you have an MSME registration if you are a proprietary concern. If you are a firm, then you can upload a partnership deed. So if you are a limited liability partnership firm, then you can upload something called a LLP deed. If you are a normal partnership firm, you can upload a registered partnership deed copy onto the GST portal to prove the constitution of your business as a firm or a LLP. And if you're a company, you will certainly have something called a incorporation certificate where you'll have the company identification number, and this is something that you'll get at the time when you get the approval for your incorporation. Coming into the persons involved. Now, these are the principal people who are involved in the business whose name will be there on the GST portal and on the records of the GST department. Whether it's a proprietary concern, a firm, or a company, you fill out the basic details of your proprietor, of the partners, of the director, and the only proof that you need to upload is a photograph, is a passport size photograph of the person or persons who are the initial important people or the principal people as far as GST registration is concerned. Next up is authorized signatories. Now, when you fill up the details of the person or persons on the GST portal, you will be mandated to choose one amongst them as an authorized signatory, basically a person who will be authorized to sign GST returns, to file GST returns on behalf of the proprietary concern, the firm or the company. Now, what is the document that you need to upload to authorize a person as an authorized signatory? Well, if you are a proprietary concern, there's absolutely no document required because you yourself, the principal person, will become the authorized signatory automatically. But if you are a firm or an LLP, you need a letter of authorization by one other partner authorizing another partner to be the authorized signatory. Same way, if you are a company, a private or public, you need a letter of authorization or a board resolution. A board resolution which shall be passed by the board of directors authorizing a particular director to take up the role as an authorized signatory and sign and file GST returns on behalf of the company in future. And then we have the most important tab, which is the principal place of business. Now, it is for these kind of documents that support the principal place of business that GST offices are quite strict. And if the documents are not proper, if the address is mentioned is not proper, they will reject it. They'll issue a show cause notice and reject the registration application. So as far as principal place of business is concerned, the document upload process need to be strictly adhered to. If you're a proprietorship concern, a firm, LLP, normal partnership firm, or even a company, then you got basically two types of principal place of business. One is if you're working in a co-working space or in a rented space, the business organization will definitely enter into a rental agreement with the landlord or with the house owner or the flat owner or the building owner. And therefore, you'll have a copy of the rental agreement, preferably on stamp paper, that you'll have to upload. If the building is your own building or the building is your dad's or mom's or your uncle's or aunt's or whatever, then you will find a ownership document. Say for example, if your dad has a building and you want to apply the address of that building as your GST address, Then you'll have a legal ownership document copy, which will be given by your dad to you. And that ownership copy can be uploaded. You may specifically not have a rental agreement with your dad or mom or uncle. You can source the ownership document copy and then upload it. But in both cases, be it on a leased premises or owned premises, you need a consent letter or a NOC, which is basically a certificate issued by the landlord, the building owner, saying that they don't have an issue of you operating under as a director, as a proprietor, as a partner of your business. And then that address can be used as your principal place of business. They should definitely give a consent letter or NOC which should be signed by the owner. And this consent letter or NOC shall be merged along with the rental agreement and uploaded. An additional proof that the GST portal asks for to substantiate the authenticity of the principal place of business is a copy of the electricity bill, which will have the same address that you have it on the rental agreement, or something called a property tax receipt, which is basically something that is paid every 2 times in a year, every half year. And this property tax receipt or the electricity bill should not be older than 6 months from the time when you start making an application out for GST registration. So as far as the principal place of business is concerned, you must have a rental agreement and an NOC or consent letter, or a legal ownership document copy and an NOC or consent letter. And as an additional proof of your principal place of business, you must have either a electricity bill or a property tax receipt, which should not be older than 6 months. Either of them should definitely bear the full address matching to the NOC, consent letter, rental agreement, or ownership document. If either of the two documents does not have a matching address, then the officer will send a show cause notice, and if you cannot prove, they will reject the registration application. And finally, it is the bank details. Of course, bank details furnishment can take some more time. Once you apply for a GST registration, you have a 45-day limit for updating the bank details, for which you can upload a copy of the bank statement any of the months, recent months, a copy of the bank passbook which will have all the details, or a copy of the cancelled check. Now, what is the idea of updating bank details on GST portal? Tomorrow when you get GST refund from the government in any form, then the government needs to find a bank account to pay the money to you. And it is not the bank account from which you pay GST to the government. That is separate. But this bank details needs to be updated. Basically, the bank which the government will identify to put money from the department in the form of GST refunds, which again has a 45-day time period, but is recommended to update and fill as soon as you file a GST registration application. I hope I was able to make things clear in this particular video. The idea of the video was to only understand the basic documents that needs to be uploaded properly in order to get a GST registration very fast in no time. If you like the video, you could show support to us by hitting the like button. If you want more videos of these on a regular basis through way of notifications, you could also think of hitting the subscribe button. Till then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care and thank you.